From the Samson Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Brought to you by SSPTV and the Standard Speaker.
Timing is everything, and just days before an election, a Luzerne County official is facing felony counts. The county controller is charged. Our top story on News 13 for this Friday. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Baczynski. The state attorney general says he recorded conversations with several people over the phone and in person without their consent, and that's against the law. Today, Luzerne County Controller Walter Griffith was arraigned on the charges. Christina Papa was there. She's in the studio now to tell us what happened. Christina?
Kathy, just days before the primary election, Luzerne County Controller Walter Griffith was in court this morning, being arraigned on charges that he illegally recorded conversations, mostly about funding to improve Wilkes-Barre's Hotel Sterling, without the consent of the other person. That's illegal, and the Pennsylvania Attorney General decided to charge him.
Good morning.
What do you think about the charges?
No comment.
News 13 was there as Luzerne County Controller Walter Griffith arrived almost an hour early for his arraignment on 3 counts of recording phone and in-person conversations without the other party's consent. It all began when Griffith turned over computer files to the FBI early last year, and the agency discovered an audio-recorded phone conversation between Griffith and the head of CityVest, Y. Judge Cheval. Luzerne County gave Cheval's CityVest organization $6 million to shore up and find a developer for the crumbling Sterling Hotel in Wilkes-Barre. Court papers filed today also show that Griffith recorded conversations with at least 5 other people, including elected officials and private citizens. While Griffith wasn't talking today, he did speak to News 13 about the investigation back in February.
Everything that I've done in the Controller's office for the last 3 years have been for the good of the taxpayers of this county. I've been trying to hold people accountable in this county for doing the things that they're supposed to do and not. And you know, I have done what I had to do as far as the Controller goes, and I've done my duty as what the taxpayers wanted me to do.
Amidst a media frenzy, Griffith emerged after being formally charged, but his attorney did all the talking.
In this country, he's presumed innocent until proven guilty, and he stands by that. And Mr. Griffith's good deeds in both his personal life and his public office, I think, speak for themselves. And as to the charges that were levied today, we'll deal with those in due course.
Griffith's attorney also spoke about the timing of the charges, coming just days before the primary in which Griffith is running for re-election.
The timing is obviously a little curious, but we'll leave that up to the good judgment of the people of Luzerne County and around to make their own decisions with regards to that. Are faced with here are responding to charges, not to the calendar.
Griffith was released on unsecured bail set at $10,000. His hearing is set for next Thursday. The arraignment happened so early, Kathy, that by the time Griffith's supporters came to the arraignment, it was already over. They told our cameras that they will continue to support the county controller throughout the case. Kathy?
Interesting to see how that plays out. Thanks a lot, Christina. Well, the man who dragged a local police chief with his car is in the Carbon County prison tonight. Here's video of the blue Toyota after its driver, Dean Cancer of Beaver Meadows, was taken into custody by state police after a day-long search yesterday. It all began in Beaver Meadows when Chief Michael Moreci tried to serve warrants on Cancer at his home in Beaver Meadows. The chief was snagged by the car as Cancer tried to drive away and suffered scrapes and bruises and possibly some knee damage. Chief Moreci actually drove himself to Hazleton General Hospital after the incident. He was treated on Thursday and will undergo further testing to check out injuries to his knee, and he'll be off duty a few days while it heals. Cancer is in the Carbon County prison and could face additional aggravated assault charges. Well, it probably looked terrifying from the outside. Police from Greater Hazleton used a student day off to stage a mock massacre drill at the Hazleton Elementary Middle School today. As Matthew Petrillo explains, public safety officials are hoping the staff involved will teach students what to do in an emergency.
They used real guns with real bullets. But it was only a drill.
It's an overwhelming sound.
First, the police shot 4 different guns in several locations throughout the school. The loud gun blasts echoed around the school and triggered some emotional memories from Denoy.
You start thinking about people that have been in events like this, and it kind of brings you down a little bit, and we hope that our children are always safe, and we'd like to remember those that lost their lives in school shootings too.
Police fired the shots into a clearing barrel, which is made up of compressed rubber and traps bullets from ricocheting. Police Chief Frank DeAndrea says the more realistic the training is, the better teachers will be prepared to react to crises.
But the first step is to have the educators teach the kids slowly and surely, this is how we're going to respond.
You're actually back in the scenario that you are an actual kid. It is scary. When you hear the gunfire, you're running around, people are screaming. It's actually a good wake-up call.
A wake-up call she hopes to never experience. But if she does, she'll know what to do.
I think students should know that they are going to be safe. They're going to be taken care of because the staff and the police officers are all trained in situations like this, and they just need to follow the lead of the teachers.
The day wasn't just to train teachers, it was also to train area officers who might respond from outside of Hazleton.
It's not going to be me and 3 of my HPD officers that arrive here first. And because of it, we need to expose ourselves as law enforcement to how we're going to work together.
Now, police have been responding to this drill all day. These cops are from the Klein Township Police. Chief DeAndrea says he's been planning for this day since 1998. That's when he wrote the school district's crisis plan.
We don't sit back and worry, but we are prepared.
Prepared for the worst, but hoping for the best. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Hazleton.
Last night, there was a public vigil for the victims of that horrific fire in Pottsville earlier this week. Everybody's trying to come to grips with the tragedy. Today, I sat down with the man whose job it was to determine how they died. A mother stood watching in horror as her husband, her sister, and 4 young children were trapped in the 3rd floor of their Pierce Street home. All were killed. It's brought a deep sadness to the entire Schuylkill County community.
I mean, this is something that tugs at the heartstrings.
As Schuylkill County Coroner, Dr. David Moylan tried to brush aside emotion and called on experience and training to determine how the adults and 4 children died.
It reminded me of the last days of Pompeii. You know, stuff that you saw what must have happened when the volcano went off and people being frozen in time.
Technology has changed the way a coroner investigates the cause of a fire victim's death, and it was put into practice following the tragedy.
Rather than open up the bodies, we conducted what's called a virtual autopsy. And that's not only a physical examination, extensive photography, but performing a CT scan of the corpse. And that was very helpful.
But technology can also provide comfort. An endoscopic camera was used to determine whether the young victims had passed before the flames reached them.
I was able to tell the mom that these people died of carbon monoxide poisoning, smoke inhalation, so they were dead before the fire got to them, I would say. So there was some small comfort in that.
As of today, fire investigators still haven't been able to determine the cause of that fatal fire, and you can hear more from Dr. Moylan on tonight's Sam Lassant Show. And still ahead on News 13, the clouds roll in, but we'll still have a nice weekend for the most part. We'll tell you about it in News 13 weather. And it'll be a great weekend for a little taste of Italy. We'll preview a yearly celebration that's always molto bene when News 13 continues. Well, get ready to mangia. This weekend is the Bella Italia Festival, sponsored by Hazleton Unico, and it promises some amazing food, competitive bocce, and of course, good friends. Matthew Petrillo has all the delicious details.
Buongiorno, that's good day in Italian. And if there's one time a year where everybody can be Italian for a day, it's at the Bella Italia Festival.
It's grown by leaps and bounds, and we're very, very excited. It's actually becoming one of the premier events in Hazleton.
This is the 6th time organizers from Hazleton Unico put the event together. Donald Gallade says it benefits Unico, an organization of local Italians that funds local charities.
The festival is free, the parking is free. It's a great time to come out and just enjoy the Italian heritage that Hazleton was kind of founded on, if you will, many years ago.
Now, the food is going to be incredible. He says if you come out, you've got to taste test a little bit of everything. But he says when you do show up, make sure you check out the main event. That's the meatball eating contest.
Probably one of the biggest things that people are talking about is the meatball contest. If you think you make good meatballs, then this is the place you want to be. Basically, just bring your meatballs that are fried or baked but not in sauce. Bring them to the park at 11 o'clock. in a container that you're not too concerned about whether or not you get back. And then this year we're actually have expanded it where there's going to be a first, second, and third prize, and there's actually going to be cash prizes for gift certificates from some of the area restaurants.
But it's not all about the prizes.
It's about the food. I can't say enough, it's about the food, and because you're standing up when you're eating it, calories don't count. So we encourage everybody to come out. There's a various different vendors there, and it's not even just only Italian food. You'll find some other ethnic foods as well, but it's a great venue, it's a great time, and we just encourage everybody to come out because the weather's going to be great, and everybody's got to eat, so you might as well do it there.
The meatball eating contest begins Saturday morning at 11 o'clock at the Hazel Township Community Park. It's followed by Mass at noon and a whole day of kissing your friends on the cheek, practicing the Italian language, and of course, mangia. Matteo Picciolo, News 13, Hazel Township.
Mille grazie, Matteo. Time now for our regional weather from the National Weather Service. Checking the radar, trace of a sprinkle could move through the area here or there this evening, but nothing that's going to dampen our day. Creative Condition is a Beauty. It's by Isabella Hilliard, a student at Valley Elementary, and she's enjoying her day out on her swing set. Now let's take a look at News 13 weather from the National Weather Service for Greater Hazleton for tonight. Pretty much partly cloudy with a low around 48. And for Saturday, partly sunny with a slight chance of an afternoon shower. A high about 67 degrees, though, and a chance of showers once we get into the overnight with a low down to 52. And heading to Schuylkill County tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 49 degrees. And for Saturday, mostly cloudy again, slight chance of afternoon showers with a high up to 67. Chance of light rain at night with a low down to 51 degrees. And let's check the winning midday lottery numbers. Good luck if you played. The daily, 694, Big 4, 0405, Quinto, 2241, and the treasure hunt, 10, 17, 20, 28, 29. Hope you won.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's Talk of the Town report. First tonight, the Brenner family in Hazleton is looking for their lost dog, Mr. Itsy Bitsy Wiggles, a 9-month-old Russell Terrier. He has a green collar with tags. He's missing from the area of 2nd and Locust Streets. Anyone with information is asked to call 570-459-0094. And finally, St. Michael's Church in Shenandoah will be holding an indoor yard sale Saturday, May 25th from 8 a.m. to noon. All proceeds benefit the church. For more info, please call 570-462-0809. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Mabel A. Laura of Shepton. Funeral is Wednesday at 11 a.m. at the St. John's Lutheran Church. Friends may call Tuesday from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Stauffer Bresnick Funeral Home. Nelson E. Clark Sr. of Fineyville. Services are Saturday at 10:30 a.m. in the St. James UCC Church. Friends may call at the church Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. and Saturday from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. The Sean E. Clark Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. Christine Palco of Drums. Funeral is Saturday at 10:30 a.m. from the Good Shepherd Church. Friends may call Saturday from 9:30 a.m. until the time of service. The Harmon Funeral Home is assisting the family. Marlon A. Heckler of Hometown. Funeral is Monday at 11 a.m. in the Lamar Christ Funeral Home. Friends may call Sunday from 6 to 9 p.m. Emily M. Peltjohn of Nescapec. Funeral is Monday at 10 a.m. from the Harmon Funeral Home. Friends may call Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. Paul D. Anderson, formerly of Hazleton. The Leo Bean & Sons Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. And John W. Metz of Hazel Township. Funeral will be held at the convenience of the family. The Joseph A. Moran Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. Tonight's obituaries have been brought to you by the Smilax Floral Shop located on 15th Street in Hazleton. For delivery to all local funeral homes, call 570-454-0111. And by Mia's. Once again, the Hazleton area's #1 rated restaurant. Call 570-501-3410 for information on luncheon packages.
SSPTV Sports on News 13 with Fred Barletta Jr.
Well, day 2 of the District 11 Track and Field Championships and more gold for the Schuylkill teams. And I'll tell you, they're going to make an impression when they get to Shippensburg next week because very impressive performances. Let's start with, the 100-meter dash where Danny McSurdy of North Schuylkill, he crossed the line in 11.16 seconds. You talk about flying. That's doing it. That put the gold around his neck. And don't forget about Chris Bruno of Marion. He finished second at 11.2. So that's the way it looked at AA. Both will qualify to go down to Shippensburg. one as the gold medalist and one on state qualifying time. Now, North Schuylkill teammate Brandon Sharon, how about a 4:24 mile? I'm not sure I can do that on a bicycle, but that's pretty impressive. He's gold medalist for 2013. Brandon will be down at Shippensburg with all of the elite athletes. He'll be trying to get to the medal stand down at Seth Gross Stadium next weekend. The Marion Colts, going back in the 4x400 relay, they clocked it in 3 minutes, 28 seconds. And one of the guys on that team is Nico Agosti. He's also going on state qualifying time in both the 200 and the 400. He qualified. He finished second in the 400, and he took a third place in the 200. But, as we said, state qualifying time. So we're getting ready now. 1 week from today, it'll be the championships for the state of Pennsylvania down at Shippensburg University. Let's go to our minor league and major league report. Start with the minors, where once again, Russ Kanzler on top of his game. 2 for 5 last night, scored a run, knocked in a run. That average just a shade below 300, as you see. So he's getting the job done. His Norfolk team on fire. They've won 6 straight now as they defeat the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs last night, 8-6. What's going on with the Rail Riders? Don't like the road, that's for certain. The Toledo Mud Hens knocked them out again last night, 4-1. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Club scuffling a little bit now. We'll see what happens. Maybe they're just missing the home cooking. Meanwhile, how about the Rays last night? They went into the 9th inning with a comfortable 3-1 lead. Fernando Rodney on the mound. He was 1 strike away, and then disaster hit. The Red Sox rally. They win the ball game 4-3. So the Red Sox take 2 out of 3 down at the Trop. Meanwhile, 2 out of 3 for the Seattle Mariners as they upend the Yankees last night, 3-2. And speaking of the major leagues, there you go. Joe Madden and his club try to get right back on the track on this. They're at Camden Yards for the weekend. They start with a 7:05 game tonight, and then they'll have afternoon games the rest of the weekend. Yankees hosting Toronto. The Phillies will be welcoming in the red-hot Cincinnati Reds. The New York Metropolitans will be out at Wrigley Field. I hope the Ivy's nice for them. In the NBA, well, we now know about the conference finals because Golden State gets upended. San Antonio punches the ticket, and the New York Knicks stay alive. 10 points better in Indianapolis, but as I've said before, is it really going to matter? News 13 Sports is sponsored by Sand Springs, featuring a world-class golf course as well as celebrations, the area's most luxurious banquet and wedding facility.
So what do you get when you combine some of the best bands around with a desire to help create great programs for kids? Well, you get Chords for Kids taking place this Sunday to benefit the Hazleton YMCA and YWCA. Joining me now is our own Annie Keller, who's helping to coordinate the event, and Robert Katansky, who's with the Y. First of all, Annie, what's this Chords for Kids thing? This is only the second year. Tell me what goes on at this.
Well, when I used to work at the Y, me and Robert were talking about coming up with some kind of a different fundraiser because, you know, the nonprofits are always looking for fundraisers. And we came up with this called Chords for Kids. And what we do is we had Jonathan's Nest came to us and said, well, we will sponsor it for you. And we get a whole bunch of bands to come, and we have different kind of tricky trays and food and all kind of stuff, and everything is outside. And it's a really cool event. This is the second year that we're doing it, and we have 6 bands, and it's going to go on all day, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're taking a look at some video from last year. Robert, once this is all said and done, the funds raised, what kind of programs, what kind of things do they do for the kids at the Y?
We raise the funds for disadvantaged youth to help take part in youth sports programs and youth programs at the Y. Especially with today's society, a lot of kids are just roaming the streets, and it gives them an opportunity to engage in some very positive activities at the Y.
What kind of things do they do? Give me a for instance of the kind of activities.
We have, obviously we have our instructional classes that are in our leagues, sports leagues, but we also have our Team Leaders Club, which is a development program for 7th and 8th graders or older, that they actually give back to the community, do some volunteering programs and so forth. And then there's also just the boy or girl that wants to come in and just engage in open times, open swim, open basketball, open teen center, our extra zone, and so forth.
You know, Robert, we hear it every day how tough it is for nonprofits in this day and age. How tough are things to keep the programs really going at the Y?
Extremely tough. Finances obviously is a very big thing, and with the economic challenges, it's more difficult than ever to receive funding and donations and even grants to help with our programs. So this kind of event that Annie and I put together last year has impacted slightly the past year, and this year hopefully we'll do twice as good, and I believe we will.
And with the lineup of acts that you have coming out here, I think you're going. Annie, we're going to put up a graphic with everybody on there. You tell us who's going to be there. I know some of these guys.
Yeah, they're good. We're going to have a group called 2 for 1, Acoustic Voodoo, Nowhere Slow.
Know those guys?
Yep. Pill Hat Box, Midlife Crisis, who used to be, back in my day, back in high school, used to be Riff Raff, and they're just coming back. So I'm really excited to see them. The Sterling Cook Band, who is awesome, and of course, Cartoon, who is very well known.
Yes.
So
Tommy Bruno and the crew.
Yeah.
They always put on a great
and
show.
Tommy Bruno helped us a lot too, because he was actually on our committee. So he helped us a lot with, plan and everything, and giving his insight on everything too. So we appreciate that with him too.
Okay, so it's this Sunday.
It's Sunday, May 19th.
Jonathan's Nest.
Jonathan's Nest in West Hazelton.
And it starts at noonish?
The doors open at noon. The first band comes on at 1:30.
Awesome. And we want everybody to come, stay for the entire day, eat some food, try some turkey trays, and have a great time and raise some money for the
Well
Y.
over 60 turkey trays this year.
Awesome. Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Thank you both for coming in, and good luck on Sunday. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And plenty more news and information headed your way on News 13. What happens next with Luzerne County Controller, who is charged today with felony counts? That story and much more news when the 13 crew comes right back.